This engaging conversation between Andrew Huberman and Twyla Tharp delves into the practicalities and realities of the creative process, discipline, movement, and longevity. Twyla, a legendary dancer and choreographer, offers intimate insights into how she approaches her craft, maintains rigorous work habits, and thinks about creativity as an actionable habit rather than a mystical gift. The discussion spans a variety of topics, including the nature of focus or spine in creative work, the role of movement in human communication and longevity, the balance between discipline and enjoyment, and the effects of aging on creative output and physical capability. Twyla also reflects on how her Midwestern upbringing shaped her values around work and community, as well as the challenges and rewards of evolving artistic identity in a shifting cultural landscape. Twyla introduces the concept of a spine as central to creative work. It refers to the core focus, the essential through line that holds a piece of art together, analogous to the anatomical spine that connects and coordinates the human body. Without a clear spine, art risks becoming unfocused and lost among distractions. This spine is the guiding axis for organizing ideas, whether in dance, writing, or another medium. Twyla notes that while audiences often may not grasp the spine of a work, the creator must understand it thoroughly from the beginning to the end. She emphasizes that this spine is closely tied to intention, the why behind the work, and outlines that creators must be aware of their purpose, whether it's driven by contractual obligations, personal learning, or pure artistic exploration. When asked about her consistent early morning gym routine and notoriously disciplined regimen, Twyla states plainly that it is not a ritual, but a reality. Her motivation is not enjoyment, but necessity. Maintaining the body as an instrument that can be challenged and developed requires ongoing commitment. She candidly explains that on days when motivation wanes, the inner dialogue is straightforward. If you don't work when you don't want to, you won't be able to work when you do want to. This mindset reflects a deep acceptance of discipline as fundamental rather than optional in creative and physical work. Twyla challenges the romantic notion that ignorance is bliss in creativity. Instead, she asserts that greater knowledge leads to bigger challenges, but also richer opportunities. Using Beethoven as an example, she illustrates how an artist's early work differs markedly from their late work, shaped by evolving knowledge, physical changes, and shifting artistic goals. The complexities and expanded choices that come with experience require more selectivity and conscious decision-making to maintain coherence and impact. The conversation addresses the sometimes delicate balance between a creator's vision and the expectations or demands of the audience. Twyla navigates this spectrum between total disregard for audience and manipulative pandering, acknowledging that in her career she has operated at both ends depending on context. She values gaining the audience's trust, but insists on having a core message or purpose to communicate rather than purely catering to audience desires. Ultimately, the creator's relationship to their work must remain authentic while being mindful of how it may be received. Twyla and Andrew explore the deep neuroscientific and evolutionary roots of movement as the primary form of communication before spoken language. Movement is fundamental not only in biological development, but also as a mode of emotional expression and social connection. Twyla highlights how dance, like movement generally, communicates beyond words or sound, creating shared experiences and bondings within an audience. She acknowledges the challenges in documenting and preserving dance compared to music or language, and hopes for future ways in which movement notation and transmission can be improved. Discussing ballet, Twyla explains the strict training regimen centered around the bar, which develops strength, flexibility, alignment, and muscle memory. Ballet evolved over centuries into a highly codified system with precise positions and movements designed to optimize the body's ability to perform demanding athletic feats with grace. While ballet demands uniformity, especially in corps de ballet performing in unison, Twyla stresses the importance of maintaining a sense of individual agency and interior purpose amidst these constraints. She provides anecdotes about rigorous training methods abroad and acknowledges the compromises involved in integrating diverse body types while maintaining aesthetic standards. Twyla emphasizes the emotional vulnerability inherent in creative work, especially in dance, where criticism can feel like a personal attack. She believes love for the work is essential to sustain the artist through critique and self-doubt. The best form of critique is honest and keeps the artist accountable, acting as a mirror to their highest standards. To preserve creative vitality, artists must learn to shift between immersion in their work and stepping back to evaluate it dispassionately, thereby becoming their own translator and jury. The episode takes a cultural turn, considering how social media and widespread access to creative platforms have transformed the nature of artistry, competition, and motivation. While there is more exposure and opportunity, the drive for likes and instant validation can shift focus away from intrinsic motivation to performative displays tailored to audience response. Twyla reflects on the evolution from an era when artists were deeply immersed in their communities and faced constraints that fostered creativity from scarcity, to today's vast and sometimes overwhelming flood of information and choices. One of the most intimate parts of the conversation is Twyla's reflection on aging, physical decline, and how to sustain creativity and movement into later life. She acknowledges the reality of losing strength, flexibility, and endurance, and the emotional challenge in accepting a changing body's limitations without demoralization. Rather than fighting aging as a battle, she frames it as an opportunity to redefine one's expression and contribution. Twyla shares her transition from an elite dancer to someone whose body moves differently but still carries profound value in collaboration and mentorship. She urges maintaining movement as a pivotal way to preserve brain function and curiosity, noting the linear decline in physical activity with age and its pervasive impact on overall vitality. Rooted in a Midwestern farming background and influenced by a mother who was a concert pianist, Twyla internalized the ethic of hard work and practice from a young age. Time is a limited resource that must be maximized, and excellence is pursued through consistent effort rather than fleeting inspiration. This work ethic, paired with a communal sense of responsibility, shaped her approach to creativity as a daily practice rather than spontaneous genius. She contrasts the idea of habits, repetitive behaviors, rituals, purposeful actions to achieve a goal, and practice, disciplined work towards mastery, placing creative work clearly within disciplined practice supported by these routines. The discussion also touches on the notion of nonverbal communication at energetic and even telepathic levels. Drawing parallels with animal sensory systems such as electroreception and lateral lines in fish, Twyla and Andrew entertain the hypothesis of more subtle human communication mechanisms beyond words and gestures, including pheromones and shared neural rhythms. They conjecture about the communal experience during live performances, where both performers and audience undergo physiological resonance, contributing to empathy and shared emotional states. Twyla recounts how her unique name shaped self-perception and public identity, chosen deliberately by her mother to have memorability and resonance in show business. This story reflects the broader theme of how external markers and internal will interact to shape one's trajectory. She also discusses the challenge of evolving as an artist, while audiences and culture often prefer fixed versions of creative identity, leading to tension between innovation and expectation. Twyla describes the creative process metaphorically as scratching, which can occur both in states of uncertainty, where one feels lost and experiments blindly, and in directed efforts when the endpoint is known but the path is unclear. She underscores the importance of patience and faith in this exploratory work, anchored always by the original inspiration or rock that grounds and reconnects the artist to their core motivation. Reflecting on the relationship between body and brain, Twyla posits that the body often knows what the brain has yet to comprehend fully. Movement, intuition, and physical sensation guide artistic expression as much as intellectual understanding does. She resists seeing the mind as primary, instead favoring an integrated system where bodily experience informs creative insight and vice versa. Rather than positioning herself as a teacher or mentor in a top-down sense, Twyla views the artistic relationship with younger dancers as mutual apprenticeship. Both parties bring knowledge and learning, creating a shared process of growth and exploration. This collaborative approach aligns with her overall view of creative work as community-based and relational rather than solitary or hierarchical. Twyla describes the reality of performance as high stakes, nerve-wracking, and emotionally intense. Nearly every artist experiences anxiety and pressure before a show, which paradoxically corresponds to their commitment to excellence. The demands and rigors of performance require not only physical preparation, but also mental and emotional stamina, underscoring the inseparability of body and mind in the creative arts. Throughout the conversation, Twyla and Andrew seamlessly weave together scientific insights, artistic practice, historical context, and personal narrative. Whether discussing neurobiology, choreography, or family history, they emphasize the interconnectedness of these domains in shaping creative expression and human experience.